僕に食われても仕方ないよね。
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the cruelest anime characters who got the right kind of karma. Number 20, an eye for an eye. Goblin Slayer. After walking into an enemy ambush, Priestess gets some very unwanted attention from a frisky goblin. Fortunately, his comeuppance is quick and ruthless. In response to Priestess's screams, Goblin Slayer leaps into action and gives the monsters something to squeal about. First by strangling him with a tether made of human hair, and then by plucking out one of the goblin's eyes altogether. You know it's morbid when even the other goblins decide it's best to stay clear. Priestess may leave a bit shaken up, but at the very least, no one's gonna risk going near her again for a very, very long time. Number 19, Humiliation Conga Line. Baki. Eli Jr. just can't catch a break today, but then again, that's what you get for being an arrogant jerk. It all started when Jack Hanma knocked him down a few pegs in a one-on-one. Afterwards, Eli got his face pounded in by Goki too, and then Doppo, and then pretty much everyone else he's ever pissed off. Even Eli Jr.'s own father decides to get in on the fun. By the time he finally retires for the night, Junior's been KO'd by just about every member of the main cast. Next time, he should really make sure he has the bite to back up his bark. Number 18, Ace in the Hole. One Piece. If there's any justice in Ace's death, it's that Whitebeard doesn't wait long before becoming the judge, jury, and executioner. Slimy as always though, Akainu tries to slip away, but his fate eventually catches up to him. Mostly in the form of one jaw-dropping punch to the gut. That isn't your average blow either. It's all of Whitebeard's grief and rage poured into one attack, and the force of it literally splits the ground in two. Admiral or not, no one wants to be on the wrong side of a punch like that. Although considering everything he did, it still feels like Akainu got off easy. Number 17, Beat to the Punch. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. There's a whole lot of people who want to crack at Shogo. After all, he's personally responsible for the deaths of countless Tempest citizens. That's a lot of pressure, but thankfully, Geld made everyone proud by delivering one hell of a wince-inducing beatdown. While the Orcs' mystical Chaos Eaters come out for support, most of the mauling boils down to Geld's fist and Shogo's face. In the end, watching the pitiful crook crawl back to his master is a victory in itself, but it's even sweeter when he returns with more power, only to get his stuff handed to him all over again. Clearly, no one does vengeance quite like Geld does. Number 16, Crushing Defeat. Jujutsu Kaisen. Hanami's first mistake was allying with Mahito's team of curses. Their second was going after the young Jujutsu sorcerers. And their last was thinking they could take on Satoru Gojo. Even with a 3-on-1 advantage, the Jujutsu sorcerer proved that no one messes with his students and gets away with it. Using nothing more than the raw might of his domain expansion, Gojo flattened Hanami until they were a fresh piece of graffiti on the wall. It's not a very clean end, but it sure is satisfying.
Hanami.
Given how fast it all happens, it's clear that Hanami didn't just lose this fight, they never even had a chance in the first place.
次
Number 15, Flatlining. Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. In a poetic way, Eok's narcissism was his own undoing.
そのようなお体で味方の士気が下がっている今私が手本を示さねばならんのだ
Instead of taking the killing blow, he relished his victory with a hateful monologue about his achievements, including the fact that he helped kill several of Akihiro's comrades.
この意欲苦ジャンの裁きを受けろ
Turns out, that's exactly the motivation Akihiro needs to finish this fight for good. He stands up, takes the enemy's mech by the throat, and then proceeds to crush the iron hull into bits, with its pilot still inside. Eok can scream and cry all he wants. We're with Akihiro on this one. The only thing better than seeing Eok pop like a balloon is knowing that he lost to his own hubris. Number 14, The Grilling Grovel. Kaiji, Ultimate Survivor. Tonegawa bet it all on a life or death game of E-Card and lost. However, the stakes were only deadly for his opponent.
そんなバカな
So, besides his life, what did Kaiji's smarts actually get him? Witness to an apology, that's what. Not a wimpy half-hearted one either. No, in order to prove his sincerity to his boss, Tonegawa had to grovel while pressing his hands, knees, and head into a flaming hot grill.
たとえそれが肉焦がし骨焼く鉄板の上でもな
But even as he cries in pain, it's hard to feel any sympathy for the con artist. Tonegawa is the one who challenged Kaiji in the first place, and he even tried to cheat his way to victory too. Kaiji just cheated better is all. Number 13, Take Me to Church. The Rising of the Shield Hero. For a guy who led the Church of Three Heroes, Pope Biscus D. Balmus needed some serious divine intervention.
神への反逆その大罪浄化では生ぬるい
Thankfully, Naofumi and his band of colleagues were more than willing to do the honors. Despite the Pope's dangerous magic, the Shield Hero eventually put an end to the villain's corrupt reign. Or should we say, his all-powerful dragon summoning did. Once Naofumi called upon his new friend, the Pope didn't even have time to pray before he became dragon food.
なぜだなぜ私がこんな私は神の代行者
The spell took a lot out of Naofumi, but it was oh so worth it to see Balmus finally meet his maker, this time permanently. Number 12, Sowing the Seeds. YuYu Hakusho. Even in a tournament like this, it's common courtesy to keep all the fighting inside the ring, doubly so if your opponent is someone like Kurama. Despite that, Roto threatened Kurama's mother in order to get a few cheap shots in.
Allow me to introduce my little button. When I press it, a signal will be sent to my demon brother.
But all his scheming does is plant the seeds for some blood-soaked payback. Kurama doesn't even have to lift a finger.
I can't move.
Once his death plant latches on, it starts to drain Roto from the inside out. It's gross, it's effective, and if Roto's begging is any indication, it's extremely powerful too.
Such beauty sprung from such an ugly soil.
But most of all, it's fair. Roto sealed his fate the moment he decided to use dirty tricks against Kurama. Number 11, Envy Gets Fried. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Colonel Roy Mustang had the right idea. Revenge is a dish best served grilled. He practically devoted his life to avenging the murder of his fallen comrade Maze Hughes. It took a few arcs to track down the killer, but that just made Envy's fiery fate all the more explosive.
その下の根から焼き尽くしてやろう
Mustang roasts the homunculus alive, waits for them to regenerate, and then burns their flesh off all over again. It's a vicious cycle, and every second of it is downright glorious. Blasting envy can't completely fill the hole Maze Hughes left in the series, but seeing Mustang blaze his way through the stages of grief comes pretty damn close. Number 10, Leon Strikes Out. Danganronpa the animation. Placed inside of a school setting, told you must kill to escape, and constantly plagued by the wicked machinations of a robotic bear. Someone was bound to crack. Unfortunately for Leon, he just happened to be the one to get caught.
このダイイングメッセージを180度回転させれば見えてきました。レオン。
Thanks to some last-minute deduction by Makoto during the class trial, he discovers that the baseball prodigy was the one that beat Sayaka to death.
俺は仕方なく殺しただけなんだって。そうだ、正当防衛じゃね？
While he would argue that it was all in self-defense on account of Sayaka being the one to attack first, he could have just stopped wailing on her after the first swing, instead of permanently ending her idol career. The result? Pelted to death with an endless barrage of baseballs. Oh, the irony. Number 9. Poisoned by Frogs. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean. Prison life can be rough, but only in the world of JoJo could something like this occur. Desperate to get her father's stand, which happened to be sealed in the shape of a disc, out of prison and into the hands of the Speedwagon Foundation, Jolene ran a literal gauntlet, only for her to be gunned down by one of Poochie's henchmen. And then it starts raining frogs. Thanks to his stand ability, Weather Report is able to create a torrential downpour of poisonous frogs, one that causes the gunman to bloat up to ridiculous degrees. It's a nasty way to go, but that's what you get for shooting best girl. Number 8, Relentless Destro. My Hero Academia. He may be a right bastard, but Shigaraki is the de facto supervillain of the pro-hero landscape. If he wasn't gonna let a gangster like Overhaul put down the League of Villains, then a Dr. Doofenshmirtz-looking weirdo like Redestro had no chance. After coming to terms with the monster inside of him, Shigaraki embraces his destructive urges with his improved quirk demolishing everything in sight, and in doing so liberated Redestro from the use of his legs. He breaks the former Grand Commander so badly, he practically becomes a Shigaraki simp.
お疲れ様でございました。何かお飲み物でも。
Number 7, Pax gets broken in. Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation. Originally nothing more than a creepy gag character, this prince overstepped his boundaries when he took his perversions towards Roxy to new heights. Not only did he hold the families of his guards hostage, but planned to use Rudius as bait as a means to lure Roxy back so he could have his wicked way with her.
お前ロキシーの知り合いか?
Thankfully, Rudy finds a way to inadvertently put Pax in his place by getting his older brother to side with him.
お前の首を今にも引っこ抜きそうだ。
An older brother with absurd strength and no qualms about breaking Pax's various bones. Number 6, Fratricide, Black Bullet. Sibling rivalry has never been so bloody. Upon discovering that her brother had a hand in hiring those that dispatched their parents, Kisara decides now would be a good time for her to become an only child. Not only does she win her duel, but she also dispatches Kuzumitsu in the most gruesome way.
それでお前たちも一緒にと。
Lopping off a leg is usually a nasty way to go, but then Kisara decides to push the envelope further by splitting the bugger in half with a delayed slash. Oof. Number 5. Lu proves he's ready. The world's finest assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat. A legendary mercenary in his old life, Luke still had a way to go in order to demonstrate his willingness to be an assassin after being reborn in a fantasy world. His last trial, kill a captured criminal who just happens to look like a petrified young girl.
マーガレット19歳罪状強盗殺人および放火
Of course, Luke being a man on a mission doesn't fall for her crying act, and instead lets her bleed out. Given how she reveals her true colors right after, it's fair to say she earned the knife to the head.
あのババアみたいに焼き殺してやる。死ね、死んじまえ。地獄の鬼に食われてしまえ。
そうだね。それもいいかもしれないな。
Number 4. Swain loses his head. Vinland Saga. There was only so much that Ashland was gonna take. You can dismiss him, you can look down on him, but the moment you threaten to invade Wales, you've gone too far.
ウェールズかクヌートか選べ
When King Swain demands that he makes a choice between Canute or his homeland, Ashland goes to option 3, decapitating the king in front of everyone. While this does sign his own death warrant, it's just another demonstration of his incredible character. That, and Swain seriously had it coming.
スカッとしたぜ
Number 3. Dr. Death, Akudama Drive. Her fondness for surgeries and changing her own anatomy in the most extensive ways clearly demonstrated that this Akudama had no issues using and losing lives on a whim.
やめときなさい。あんたが銃を撃つより先に詐欺師の首を切る。
In an effort to secure herself a passage out of a city gunning for her head, the doctor doesn't hesitate to kill and take hostages.
いい光景ね。誰もが私の手の中。
Fat load of good it did her, since a final act of courage by Hoodlum and the impromptu arrival by a terrified crowd leads to her being trampled. Pretty hard to stitch yourself up when your skull is caved in. Number 2. Reina doesn't want a new mama. Higurashi when they cry. Time loops are pesky things. You never know when one character is going to incarnate as sweet and dainty or a ruthless gold digger happy to strangle a little girl just to ensure she gets some of that moolah.
私もあんたのこと嫌いだったから、お互い様よね。
Ritsuko in this version is very much the former, one willing to take Reina out of the picture so long as she can keep getting the money from her father.
クソガキ、なめやがってよ。もうちょいでうん千万って金が転がり込むんだよ。うんだらねえとこでまどろっこしい。
Her ploys don't exactly end well when Reina gets her hands on a pipe and goes to town on her would-be stepmother. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Wang gets chopped. Darwin's game. There are always losers in a battle royale, but there are also cheating bastards who are willing to do whatever it takes to win, including killing innocent people just to puff up his ego. Wang is that kind of asshole. After shooting down Shinozuka, Wang feels the full wrath of the Sunset Ravens when Shuka and Kaname come for his head. To be more accurate, they slice up his limbs with blade chains before Kaname unloads a full clip into his face. Game over. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.